The roll call, everyone is here, and the mayor sends his regrets that he was unable to attend. So I'll call the meeting to order. First thing is, do we have any additions to the agenda?
Can we move the appointments to 7 and finances to 8?
Okay, so what you're saying is that the appointments are going to be called 7, 1, 2, and 3, and finance will be 8, 1 to 6, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Could I have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
You have a motion.
As amended. Okay, Jay,
Put forward the motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
all in favor? Carried. We'll go next to the adoption of the minutes of the regular meeting of council, November 27th, 2024. Yes, sorry, Councillor Berry.
I move that we adopt the minutes of the meeting of November 27th as presented.
Are there any questions or objections or errors? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion is carried. Next, we're going to go to, which will be now called 7.1, Landing Trail Parent Involvement Association. Pardon me?
Call Landing Trail School carry forward.
Landing Trail School, yes. Could you come forward, please? Sorry.
I'm Casey.
And I'm Ryan.
Deputy Mayor Sandel, could you please step up front so we can get a picture?
She wouldn't even do you.
Thank you so much.
Next, we'll call up the Parent Association Council from Gibbons School.
Would somebody like to say what we're presenting these organizations with?
If I may, Deputy Mayor Sandel, members of council, Councillor Harris, this is for proceeds from the sale, or for the raffle of the golf cart.
Thank
And
you.
so these are proceeds from that.
Next, we'll have the Long Service Awards for the town staff. First one up will be Jim Adams with 10 years. Next one will be Anthony Norris with 5 years. Finally, Kaylee Ferguson with 5 years.
I'll need a motion, council, to accept the presentations as information.
Can I just say before I run out the door, thank you very much for supporting our students, we really appreciate it.
Oh, welcome.
And the same from Landing Trails, thank you so much, it'll go a long way for
Could I have a motion for accepting that as information, the presentations?
I'll make the motion for accepting those presentations as information.
All in favor? Carried. Next on the agenda, it will be called 8.1, accounts paid as of December 11th, 2024. Yes, Councillor Berry.
I'll move we accept the accounts paid as of December 6, 2024, as presented.
Any questions? Counselor Harris.
Thank you. First page, third from the bottom for the Sturgeon Adult Learning Insurance. What is that?
Deputy Mayor, members of council. So the Sturgeon Adult Learning Council does get their separate insurance. It's through their grant and is all covered under that grant through
It's covered
advanced
under-
education. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Bottom line, the Highline Electrical Contractors for $257,000 and change. Is that recouped from somewhere else, or that's a lot of money?
Deputy Mayor Sandal, members of council, Councilor Harris, that money is recouped through the local improvements done for the highway project that was done on stage one. And so that will be recovered. That was the lighting portion and dealing with that.
Okay, so that will be recouped over
Overtime.
time, okay.
Yeah.
My next question is second page. I just noticed the Christmas bonuses. Do all employees get that?
Actually, Deputy Mayor Sandal, members of council, yes, they do. But when the others that are on through payroll, they get deposited as part of their payroll deposit. And these are the ones that are on contract or employee contract that get paid versus a check. So that's what's registered there.
Okay, what's our budget for that? Do we know?
Right offhand, if I'm correct, is in the neighborhood of just around $5,000 in total.
Okay, and it just, where is it under, like, under what department is that? Is that just under the governance or the administration budget, or?
Yeah, I believe it's, if I'm correct, it's put into each of the department budgets as part of their overall salary cost for
Okay,
each department.
okay. Thank you.
Any further questions? Seeing none,
I'd like a recorded vote, please.
okay, recorded vote. All those in favor of the accounts paid as of December 11th? Opposed? Thank you. Next one is 8.2, the utility account write-offs.
Tara?
Oh, Tara.
Good morning, Deputy Mayor and members of the council. Administration is requesting that the following utility accounts be written off. An explanation is attached to each account being requested. Background, administration is requesting approval to write off the following utility accounts. We have included the date the account was closed for council's information. 1083.006, $87.07. The owner has been called and texted since March with no success, going to collections. 1306.004, $207.22. This account was left with the collections agency since early 2021 with no success. Total amount for the two is $294.30. Recommendation that council authorizes administration to write off the following uncollectible utility accounts.
Could I have a motion to the effect, please?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Councillor Kuzak. Any questions? Councillor Harris.
Just out of curiosity, one's from 21 and one's from 2024. Is there a reason why there's such a difference in the year? Like how the 3 year, the 3-4 years from 21? Like it just,
I don't know completely off of hand. I just know that the one has been with the collection agency for the last 3 years, and this one that we've been trying since early 2024, and with no luck. So we are going to send it to collections, but for the time being, we're requesting that council write off those two amounts. If we are successful with collections, then we can still put that back into revenue into the utility account.
so one was with collections with no success and the other one hasn't gone there yet. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, thanks.
Any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the utility account write-offs? Oh. Opposed? I have to have votes.
I vote.
Everyone did vote.
They did?
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't see your hand. Okay, thanks, that's carried. Pardon me. The next one is 8.3 Angel Donor Program.
Good morning, Deputy Mayor and members of council. The purpose of this report is to present to council an update of the Angel Donor Program as at November 29, 2024. The recommendation that council accept the Angel Donor Program update as at November 29, 2024 as information.
Councillor Masante. Milianti, sorry.
It's all good. I do want to move forward the motion that council accept the Angel Donor Program update as presented for November 29, 2024 as information. Thank you.
Any questions? Yes, Councillor Harris.
In December 2022, it indicates that we dispersed $10,900 to, is that to one individual? Am I not reading that right? Receipts and disbursements? $10,900?
Deputy Mayor, members of council, from what I recall, I do not believe that was to one individual. I believe that was part of like a larger initiative in that year, but I would have to go back and like get the details on that, but it wasn't to one individual from my recollection.
Because that's a lot of money to give, like, sorry, go ahead.
Councillor Barry.
The way I read this report is that each of those amounts are for the full month, not individual disbursements.
I'm aware of that. It was just a matter of most months are $1,000 or under, and 1 month for December was $10,500. So
Do you have a further question?
yes, I would like to know when that will be. We can expect a report back on that. I'd like to know that.
That would have to be a motion, Councillor Harris, if you would like to have anything reported back to you for the following,
No.
next council meeting.
I'm asking a question that should be, okay, when did this, I have to make a motion to get any answers?
Oh, just a moment. You can't make a motion. We have a motion
making
on
a
the
motion,
table. And it has to be dealt with first before you can make your motion.
You would like to, Stephanie?
If you don't mind, I was just quickly had a sidebar here with Tara, and I do believe that in that year we may have put our 12 Days of Christmas hamper program through there, where people donated, I believe it was $120 to get that hamper to the food bank. I think, again, I can come back if we get the motion to do so, but I do believe that that's what happened in that year for that amount.
Deputy Mayor Sandal, members of council, and in addition, I believe as well, is this report comes back on an annual basis to council and with any particular details. And if I am, is correct, that is the year that we did do a designated Christmas hamper donation program with that. And we can look back on the minutes because I believe back in that time we did do a report on an annual basis, and this is provided as an overall sum of that. And so we can look at where the minutes are and just to verify the detail on that for council.
Okay, we'll try this. I would like to make a motion to direct
I'm
administration.
sorry, we have a motion on the table.
Oh,
It
I
has to be
see.
dealt with first.
see. Okay.
The motion is to accept the.
Okay, so hold on a second. I don't get to make a motion then, or what is?
No, you do get to make a motion, Councillor Harris. It's just there's a motion on the floor currently, so that motion needs to be voted on. If you're looking for information to come back to
Okay.
council, then you can make a
Good,
motion
thank
for
you.
that following it.
Okay. Motion on the Angel Danger Program as information. All those in favor?
A recorded vote, please.
Opposed? Carried, thank you. Councillor Harris.
I
you-
would like to make a motion to direct administration for a detailed breakdown of what the $10,900 in disbursements for the Angel Donor Fund in December of 2022 was regarding. A recorded vote, please.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table. Do we have any further questions? I'll call the question. First off, all those in favor? 2, 3, 4. All those opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pardon me, I made a mistake. I think I screwed up.
Pardon?
I did. Okay, so let's have I have to re-vote, sorry.
No,
All those
but-
in,
Sorry?
No, just a sec.
I made a mistake. It shouldn't have been carried, it was a tie vote.
No, it
No,
wasn't. It was
4-2
4-2.
is not a
Oh.
tie vote.
Sorry, I didn't see it, okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay, motion's carried, like I said.
Okay. Yep.
8.4, interim capital budget.
Good morning, Deputy Mayor and members of council. The purpose of this report is to respectfully request that council considers the 2025 to 2029 interim capital budget in the amount of $2,965,000 that consists of the proposed projects as detailed in the attached Appendix A. Administration has diligently reviewed several proposed capital projects that will have significant impact to our community for many years to come, and is requesting that council to review the proposed interim capital budget that is before you. Please note that this is not a final budget, as that will be coming for council review in early 2025, as presently, we do have the amounts of grants that the town will receive for the LGFF grant, Local Government Fiscal Framework Grant, but we are still using the 2024 allocation for the CCBF grant, Canada Community Builder Fund Grant. Under Section 245 of the MGA, Municipal Government Act, council must adopt a capital budget to each calendar year by January 1st of that year. Recommendation for action, that council approve the 2025 to 2025 to 2029 interim capital budget in the amount of $2,965,000 to be funded through the utilization of the federal and provincial grant programs and municipal reserves and municipal debentures as identified.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to that effect, please? Jay,
Put forward the motion that council approve the 2025 interim operating budget based on the 2024 operating budget with revenues. Am I reading the right one?
No.
No? Yeah. Above it. Sorry, my apologies. That council approved the 2025 to 2029 interim capital budget, thank you very much, in the amount of $2,965,000 to be funded through the utilization of federal and provincial grant programs and municipal reserves and municipal debentures as identified.
thank you. Any questions? Yes, Councilor Berry.
Yeah, just some clarification. When I look at this report, there are a lot of bracketed amounts. Am I to translate that to mean those are the amounts that will be paid through the grants that are received in 2025?
If I could, Deputy Mayor Sandal and members of council, Councillor Barry, when you see in the brackets in the red is because when you have a budget, you have the expenditure that is in a positive number, then you have the offsetting, and so in particular, those items it shows under reserves where that's being expended to, or that's the way it's being funded. So the red actually shows how it's being funded under one classification if you look to the top. And so one office, it's kind of offsets the other, so it shows a zero at the end.
Okay. Yeah, I was just a little confused about that. But the bottom line is that any projects in the capital budget will be fully funded by provincial and federal grants.
And
plus
reserves that are put up.
And
there.
some from federal reserves.
Yep.
So none of the costs for these projects come out of our taxes.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Counselor Harris.
When is this gonna be provided in detail?
Deputy Mayor Sandal, members of council, is that we will be undergoing a capital budget process in the early part of January, in the new year, the same as we will be doing for operating as well. But in order to satisfy the governmental requirements is that we need to have interim budgets passed, prior to December 31.
Oh, just as a side note, thank you very much for getting the, agenda out early,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you. So early January, you say?
They will be initiating the process, yes.
Okay.
And there will be a public consultation process as part of those.
In January?
Yeah. Yep.
Give or take. Okay.
Counselor Berry.
Yes, the other piece that I don't totally understand is under borrowing. And I see 3 of these items coming, the payments coming out of reserves, so that's clear enough to me. But again, the bracketed amounts under facility debenture and Project 39 local improvement, what does that mean?
Counselor Barry, which page is that? Just like,
It's the same page, it's just at the bottom.
oh, right here, okay, thank you. Got it. Is that not the interest?
So that bracketed amount for facility debenture, 244,309, what does that mean? That money again is coming out of federal and provincial grants, or what do we mean by that?
Counselor Barry, I believe those are our debentures that have already been approved in previous years, and those
Yes.
are the payments that we are making on those debentures.
Right, and where does that money come from? When we make those payments, where does that money come from? Is it from our taxes, or does that come out similar to the previous capital budget, out of grants and reserves?
That's correct, out of grants and reserves.
Okay, I just had to clarify.
Yeah, actually, for correction, any debenture payments are, in order to pay them, you have to have it transferred into operation money in order to do that. And so it actually shows that, but it also tracks it. And when we do the operating budget, it shows the source of where those monies come from to pay that debenture.
And again, that's
Yeah.
from grants?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, some have been from grants, but others are from local improvement programs or otherwise, or from utilities such as our water meter replacement. Well, those will come from funds transferred in from our utility account.
Yeah, that I understand.
But you have to, in order for the payment of the reserves, and it shows that can only be paid out of operating, because the money gets transferred from one to the other into operation to pay it.
That comes outside of regular taxes?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's really what I needed to know. Thank you.
Any further questions? Counselor Harris.
Just subsequent to Counselor Barry's, I'm noticing that there are some of the line items that indicate that it is a principal and interest payment, and some that are interest payment only. So is it safe to say that, for example, line 76 and line 78 would be combined totals? Because line 78 says that this is the interest payment only for $35,000. Am I correct in that?
Yes, because there's a payment for the interest that it gets accrued in the debenture breakdown. It actually has the principal amount and then what gets paid against the interest. So that way it tracks, what money goes from where, because in debentures, as you get later into the payment, the amount of interest goes down because you have less interest owing, but the principal will stay the same. Much like a mortgage.
Okay, I have one more question, if nobody else does.
Go ahead.
Just going back, same page, top of the page, for 2026 expense, it says sweeper for $335,000.
So with that, Deputy Mayor Sandal, members of council, Councillor Harris, in 2026, its administration is putting forward that we're going to need to replace the sweeper. And knowing full well that each year this budget gets reviewed, and once we bring it forward for final review, that may be deemed in 2026 that we either want to defer that to another year, or, you know, if there's issues in 2025 that we need to expend it, it'll come back as a separate item to council. But one of the key things for the province is that you have to budget for 5 years in order to do that. So you have to do the projections that are there so people can see what may be there in 2025, what's being proposed, and then what might be forthcoming in the next 4 years after that. So that's why it's demonstrated.
Would the intention be to borrow that $335,000?
Is that when it comes forward to it, is in normal, that may be the case, and that'll be presented as part of the, how it's being funded. Right now is, just give me 1 sec. Is that right now is because we're not in the current operating year or capital year, is that we haven't identified where that'll be funded, as any of those other items in 26, 27, 28, or 29, those sources of revenue aren't there because that'll come forward in the 2026 budget preparation. It'll show where the source of that would be. It's just showing what potential items, capital items may be on the horizon. But they're not funded to be out and to be purchased.
Okay, and second line item from the top, the arena replacement study, 1 year you have earmarked $80,000, 2027 you have 150. What is that?
Is that, Deputy Mayor Sandal, members of council, those are anticipated items that we're going to need to do some studies to either replace the arena, you know, as a facility, I believe, is getting close to 55 to 60 years old. And so we'll need to expend money to be able to do that. So it's just put it out there as what future item and expenses could be looking at to do that.
A study would cost $230,000 over 2 years?
Depending on the nature of the study, and if you're looking at a full replacement, it certainly could be that, you know, because we don't know what those numbers and what consultants are asking for at that time. And once we get close into that budget year and planning, is that we'll be able to fine tune those numbers better, as we normally do.
So would it be a company like Select Engineering that would conduct these studies? I'm just...
What I would anticipate is that we would have a firm that is, you know, a building structural engineering firm do that assessment. And Select Energy is not a structural engineering firm. They're a civil engineering.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it'd be somebody that would have the background in dealing with facility assessments in that case.
Okay.
Seeing no further questions,
Recorded vote, please.
I'll call the question. All those in favor of the interim capital budget? Opposed? Thank you. That's carried. 8.5, the interim operating budget for 2025.
Good morning, Deputy Mayor and members of council.
Sorry, I need a motion first, please.
Oh,
Council,
Staff needs to present your report before you can have a motion on the floor.
sorry. Thank you, Tara.
the purpose of this report is to respectfully present to council the 2024 operating budget as an interim operating budget for 2025 to allow for the day-to-day operations to continue until administration can present the proposed 2025 operating budget to council in early 2025. Administration continues to work on preparing the 2025 operating budget for presentation to council. Until the operating budget is ready for presentation, an interim budget must be passed before January 1st. Administration is presenting the 2024 operating budget as the 2025 interim operating budget based on revenues of $7,445,766 against expenditures of $10,909,227 and is attached as Appendix A. Administration would like to respectfully request that council consider the following recommendations. That council approves the 2025 interim operating budget based on the 2024 operating budget with revenues of $7,445,766 against the expenditures of $10,909,627,000.
Thank you. Counselor Berry.
I'll move that council approves the 2025 interim operating budget based on the 2024 operating budget with revenues of $7,445,766 against expenditures of $10,909,627.
Thank you. Any questions? Counselor Harris.
I don't know if my math is not up to par these days, but how can we have revenues that are 7 million and expenditures of 10 million? Where's we're like in a shortfall. Correct?
Deputy Mayor Sandal, members of council, Councillor Harris, actually, the difference is actually what gets taxed, levied through taxes through our tax rate bylaw is the difference. And so in essence, for the budget, we're professing that, whereas in 2024, we brought forward a tax rate bylaw that covered off the taxes, and the difference is what's collected via taxes.
Thank you.
That does not, I didn't understand any of that.
So if I may, Deputy Mayor Sandal, members of council, there's in budget, as you see in 2024, administration brings forward the budget that shows the net revenues, added expenses without any tax collection. And so the difference is in these numbers, with expenditures being the $10,909,627, the difference between that 7,445,766 is actually the amount that we levy through taxes. And so then that brings it to a zero budget, and if there's a little bit, I believe there was a small surplus that was projected in that. And so that's how it would get collected.
So the $3 million shortfall that I'm looking at right now will be ultimately recouped when the tax rate bylaw is passed. And
Yes. In 2024, that is what covered the difference.
okay,
Was the tax rate bylaw.
can you explain what other revenue is worth $7 million then, if it's not taxes? I mean, taxes is a revenue. We're waiting for that.
No, understand that it could be user fees, it could be transfers from the province, it could be our franchise fees that are collected through there, and it's built in through general revenues as well, and let's say utility costs and such along that line. That determines where those dollars come from.
Is that not something that council should be privy to, where that money is generated from?
When we went through in the 2024 budget presentation, council was given that information where it came from, as necessary from the government. In order to have an interim budget, we based it on the 2024, which shows what that is, and that same budget number. And so to get into a detailed budget discussion as far as, every single dollar right now, the fact is that we will be going over the 2024 budget again. And we plan to go through the whole budgeting process for the 2025 budget in the early part of January.
So ultimately, I could go back on the agenda and the meeting from earlier this year regarding the 2024 budgeting
And the tax rate bylaw.
and find
Yep,
where all the other revenue
right,
comes from.
yep.
Okay, good, thank you. I'd like a recorded vote if there's no more questions.
Any further questions? Okay, could I have the motion? The motion has been made,
Call the question, please.
so I'll call the question. All those in favor of the interim operating budget? Opposed? Thank you. Next one, 8.6 is the 2025 salaries with the COLA increase.
Good morning, Deputy Mayor, members of council. The purpose of this report is to request that council considers a 2% COLA increase to staff for the 2025 and an increase of 3 additional staffing positions for the 2025 year. Administration is requesting that council considers a 2% COLA increase for staff and that 3 new staffing positions be added to the 2025 staffing component. Staffing positions would be as follows: Finance Department, 1 position to assist with the complexity of the town affairs and the year-end audits as indicated in the 2023 final audit report. Public Works Department, 1 position to assist with the workload to the growth of the community and to note that this department has been short-staffed due to medical leaves. Community Services, 1 position to assist with the workload due to the growth of the community in the parks, trails, and recreation areas. All the proposed additions and COLA increase would add $148,404.50 to the salaries budget for the 2025 year. The 2% COLA amounts to $38,660.58, leaving $743.92 of the increase to cover the requested 3 positions. On the full-time basis, this makes the average yearly salary $36,581.31 per position, or $18.76 per hour, which is below the living wage for this area of between $20.85 or $21.75. Administration is very cognizant, but the implementation of meeting this target will be over 3 years to reduce the impact of the town's taxpayers. Attached is a copy of the report. As explained at the last meeting of council on November 27, 2024, the reason to make the request at this time is because delaying the decision to after January 1st, 2025 creates a lot of extra work for the payroll and benefits staff. This would have to code a retro paid for all employees and for all the different departments that each employee's salary is coded to. As well, benefits and pensions will have to be manually calculated, as our system does not do this efficiently. Excel spreadsheets would have to be created, and all entries will have to be overwritten with the correct calculations. Recommendation for action: that council approves a 2% COLA increase to the 2025 salaries and wages effective December 29, 2024. Number 2, that council approves the addition of 3 new positions to the 2025 town staffing component as presented.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to this effect?
I'll make the motion that, that council approves a 2% COLA increase to the 2025 salary and wages effective December 29, 2024, and that council approves the addition of 3 new positions to the 2025 town staffing component as presented.
So those are 2 separate motions, council, so I'll need 2 separate votes. So if we could deal with the first motion first?
Okay, that would be the salary increases.
That's correct.
The 2% COLA, sorry, yeah. So, okay, so Kozak, that was the motion you made, thank you. Any questions? Councillor Harris.
I am a little bit confused. First of all, I think it's a little bit disingenuous to add the 3 additional positions in with something that's presented as a COLA increase. And
Sorry, that's a
Well, no,
separate motion. The motion right now
I-
is for the COLA increase.
Yes, I am aware of that, and I'm allowed to express my opinion. Thank you very much. What I'd like a little bit of an explanation with is that administration indicates here that there's a 2% COLA that amounts to 38,000 and change, and that it leaves $109,000. What is, can I get, doesn't even make sense to me. So 2% of the salary, of the current salaries is, how does that math work?
Deputy Mayor Sandal, members of council, 2% of the proposed increase of $148,404.50 is to cover off 2% COLA amounts to $38,660.58, which is what is currently being discussed as motion number 1. And then the additional dollars that are identified, the $109,743.92, will go to the second motion, which talks about the 3 new positions that are added to that and as part of that report. So initially, Deputy Mayor Sandal, the first amount of the 38,660.58 covers the 2% COLA as part of the first motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Are there any
No,
further, sorry.
If I may, I guess I'm a little bit unclear. When I'm reading the document, the 2% COLA amounts to $38,660.58, leaving $109,743. That says to me that the 2% COLA is the $48,000. Right? Like, I mean, what do you mean, the 2% COLA, like the leaving $109,000 is what I don't understand.
If I can, I think maybe I can explain it for you. If you look above that where it says all the proposed additions and COLA increase.
Right.
Add up to 148. So the total budget increase is 148,000. Split that by
Okay, perhaps just the
38%
way that
of
it's
2%
worded.
COLA and 109 for the position increases. Is that correct?
Oh, okay, may I just ask why the 3 positions are being added in this document with this vote? And I am allowed to ask that before you tell me I'm not allowed to, Deputy Mayor Sandal.
I'm sorry, we have a motion on the table
Yes,
for the
and-
COLA. Really? Unless,
Being that the document is divided into 2 separate motions, Councillor Harris, your question would be more appropriate in the second motion.
Sure, I will ask it then. And I would like a recorded vote, please.
thank you. Okay, so the vote has been called on the COLA increase for the 2025 staff. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Now, the second half of this is to do with the 3 additional members of the town staff. Could I have a motion to that effect, please? Councillor Berry, thank you.
I'd like to move that council approve the addition of 3 new positions to the 2025 town staffing component as presented.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, okay. Councillor Yusheshin.
I think this is related to the positions being proposed. In one of the paragraphs, you said, but the implementation of meeting this target will be over 3 years to reduce the impact on town taxpayers. I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Deputy Mayor Sandal, members of council, in relation to in looking at this document, there was supposed to be another document attached, which was a living wage report that was to go. And so in essence, with the 3 positions, it's also looking at, one is replacing one position that is on long-term disability to do that. But it's also when setting the wages of these new positions, it was to take into account over a 3-year period of time of applying into trying to get them to a living wage.
So if I understand you correctly, while we're starting the positions at an average of 1876, the goal is over the next 3 years to bring it up to the minimum living wage?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Harris.
Now, may I ask why this is being added in with this discussion? It seems to me like this would be something for the operational budget time.
Okay. Tara, yeah.
I believe it was added in because our operating budget has to be approved by January 1st, our intern 2025, and salaries are included in that operating budget. So that's why those 3 positions are being brought forward at this time as well.
Deputy Mayor, members of council, I'd just like to add to that as well. I can speak at least on behalf of my department and partially on Public Works, is the demand on us right now is we are in desperate need of those positions to go out as soon as possible so that we can cover the requirements of the community sooner than later. Therefore, they are being recommended to go forward now.
Thank you. Councillor Berry.
The explanation as to why it's being included now as opposed to in the new year is already in the text that Tara read. It reads, as explained at the last council meeting, the reason to make the request at this time is because delaying the decision to after January 1st, 2025 creates a lot of extra work for payroll and benefit staff. So the explanation is already there.
Thank you. Any further questions? Counselor Harris?
So, just so that I'm clear, what Counselor Berry just reiterated as well, the reason why we are being asked to approve these 3 positions is because it's too hard to do it in the new year, too much work to do it in the new year for the staff?
Deputy Mayor Sandal, members of council, those are items in addition to the fact is that right now our Public Works Department is running one person short, of which one of these positions, replaces that person that's on long-term disability. So we're running one person short. So this allows that to happen and get hired right away to bring that on board. Second of all, in Public Works, in our Community Services Department, with all the pressure that's going on with Family Resource Center over these times and the additional positions as well. The other in relation to the economics and the internal workings of the budget and everything, that makes that a lot easier for that to happen all at once. But in the same time, it adds those positions to help to relieve pressure points right now. And so putting it in place for January 1 versus waiting till, the end of March or such like that, it just helps us to close those gaps as well right now. So that's part and parcel. One was one component of the answer, and the other one was what was explained.
But that's not what it says here. It
No,
says
no.
that it's too difficult for staff to do it in the new year.
With that, Councillor Harris, is I certainly recognize that was one component. It makes it, from a logistics standpoint, makes that easier. But in addition, it, talks, as we said, that we're down with people, and that's the second part of the item that didn't get into the report. So our mistake for that.
Counselor Berry?
I'd like to call the question.
Can I
Okay,
just
she
make-
called the question on the addition of 3 new members to the, so all those in favor?
I'd like a recorded vote, please.
Opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. We'll move on to 10.1. Gibbons Library Board appointment.
Okay, can I speak to this?
Yes, you can.
Okay. All right. The purpose of this report is to respectfully request that council give consideration to the appointment of Terry Lynn James to the Gibbons Library Board for a term of 3 years at the request of the Library Board. And therefore, I would like to move that council appoint Terry Lynn James to the Gibbons Library Board for a term of 3 years based on the recommendation of the Library Board.
Any questions? Seeing none, I'll have the vote on the nominating this person to the Library Board. All those in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. 10.2, Homeland Housing Letter of Support. Who speaks to this?
Deputy Mayor Sandal, members of council, is the Homeland Housing is in the process of gathering support for a proposed mixed income residential and commercial development in downtown St. Albert, which will aid in the increasing demands of local housing systems needed in all communities. That proposed 118-unit development, named as the 22 Street, Thomas Street Community Affordable Housing Project, has been approved by Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, but is conditional upon receiving funding contributions from the province of Alberta. And so with that is their recommendation is that the town of Gibbons provide and direct administration to prepare a letter of support for the Homeland Housing Project for the proposed 22 Street, Thomas Street Community Affordable Housing Project. And just our way of showing support to the province that this is something that is important to our region. And with that, Deputy Mayor Sandal.
Oh, go ahead, Councilor Berry.
I'd like to move that council direct administration to prepare a letter of support for homeland housing for the proposed 22 St. Thomas Street Community Affordable Housing Project.
Yeah, thank you. Any questions? Amber?
This doesn't
Council-
cost us
Pardon me,
anything, does it?
Councilor Harris.
It's just a letter in support? Doesn't cost us anything? I
No,
just-
it's just a support. They're innovative ideas.
If I may say, Deputy Mayor Sandal, members of council, Councilor Harris, this is just a letter of support. There is no financial considerations on the table.
Thank you.
Call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. 11.0 bylaws and policies. We're at 11.1 bylaw PI 424 Waterworks and Sewer Services bylaw.
The purpose of this report is to respectively request that council consider adopting bylaw PL 4-24, Waterworks and Sewer Servicing Bylaw. The Waterworks and Sewer Servicing Bylaw sets out rules and regulations pertaining to the operation of the town water and sewer utilities, as well for the collection of water and sewer service charges. The suggested charges are highlighted in red for ease of reference. The proposed changes are the name change that took place with the Alberta Capital Region Wastewater Commission to Aerial Utilities, the addition of the water infrastructure replacement charge and a sewer infrastructure replacement charge to meet the directives of the Municipal Government Act and to maintain the existing system before it starts failing, and we have a City of Calgary incident. Recommendation for action. Administration respectfully requests that council consider the following. That council provides second and third reading to the Waterworks and Sewer Servicing Bylaw PL 4-24.
Thank you. Could I have a motion, please?
Deputy Mayor Sandal, members of council, we're looking just for a motion to provide second reading.
I'll make the
Thank you, Councilor Houston. We have a motion for second reading of the Waterworks and Servicing bylaw. Any questions? Councilor Harris.
Why the change in the name? From a commission to Aerial Utilities? Anybody know?
I can speak on that.
Yeah.
We decided as a board for, used to be the Capital Region wastewater plant, to change the name to Aerial Utilities to signify of more of the recycling end of what the plant is doing now with the purple water. And it allowed us better access to grants with the Alberta government.
How come? I sat on the Water Commission as well, so I'm just
It just,
curious.
with the innovation of the purple water, it just proved the full recycle circle better. And changing the name to Aerial Utilities just reflected that in the name of the commission.
And that enables more grant money to flow?
Yep.
How? I'm just curious.
That would be the accounting part, the accounting people of Aerial Utilities.
Like, has it changed in so far as becoming a corporation as opposed to a commission?
Nope.
Okay. I do have others if anybody else.
Deputy Mayor Sandal, members of council, I believe just for accuracy purposes, the Aero Utilities is the wastewater portion, not the water service.
Say that again?
It's just the wastewater plant.
Yeah, it's the wastewater end of
Right.
the utilities, not water. That has not changed its name.
Yeah, no, I didn't assume that it was the wastewater commission and the water commission are two different entities. I know, I sat on that, I was a vice chair. So, is the water commission changing their name for the same reasons? Or? Oh, okay.
Okay, call the motion The second reading of bylaw PL four
Hold tight,
24.
please. I do have other questions. I'm just seeing if it's,
Sorry, go ahead.
it might be on the next bylaw. The master, is it the master rates bylaw? No. Oh, this is the one that has the wages being mixed in. Is this the, one where we're charging, just before, hang on, just give me a second here. No, it'd be the master rates bylaw. Go ahead. I'll ask my question next one. Go around.
Okay, so we'll call the question on the
Recorded vote, please.
second reading of PL four 24. All those in favor? Opposed? I'll need another motion for third reading. Thank you, Councillor Barry.
I move that council provide third reading for the Waterworks and Service Servicing Bylaw PI 4-24.
Any questions?
Recorded, please.
Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor of third reading? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Next bylaw will be PL 3-24, the Municipal Master Rates Bylaw.
Good morning, Deputy Mayor and members of council. The purpose of this report is to respectively request that council considers adopting bylaw PL 3-24, Municipal Master Rates Bylaw. Do you guys wish me to read all the background? You guys are fine? Okay, thank you.
Okay, I will
So-
entertain a motion to that effect.
Sorry.
So, sorry.
Administration respectively requests that council considers the following: that council provides second and third reading to the Municipal Master Rates Bylaw, PL 3-24. Thank you.
Thank you. Could I have a motion, Councillor Yusition?
I'll make the motion for second reading municipal master rates bylaw PI 3-24.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Harris.
Thank you. Just going through the document, I noticed a few things. Why have we, for the development permitted use, this would be page 8 of 14, we decreased the permit amount from $500 to $300 in the red. Am I correct?
Councillor Harris, if I could just say, I believe that's a typo from the previous bylaw. It was supposed to be $300 in the previous bylaw, so it has just been corrected.
Thank you.
But there's a number of things that are highlighted in red here, so how can, so that is not the case then? So if I were to
You
go
were
back in the previous bylaw, or the previous master rates bylaw, it would say $300?
It would say 500. It should have been 300.
Aren't we voting to decrease it right now?
Yeah, well, it was set at 500, so anytime anybody would have made any kind of development appeal, we would have had to charge based on the $500 rate, because that's what the bylaw said, but in essence, it should have been $300. So it was a typing error and has since been corrected in this bylaw. Previously, it was charged at $500.
Yes,
That was
we're
incorrect.
decreasing it right now.
We are decreasing it to
Why?
300 because it was an error. We're not allowed to charge $500. We can only charge the $300.
Oh, is this like MGA information, like rules?
You would have to check with the Planning and Development Department, but that's how I understand it.
Oh, okay. I have other questions if anybody has any in between time. No? Okay. Page 12 of 14, I also noticed that we are charging an additional $19.30 per month. That's a flat rate that all of our residents are going to be required to pay, I assume? Or what's that flat rate and where will the money go?
Did you want to answer? Or did you want? Deputy Mayor Sandal, members of council, Councillor Harris, actually the 1930 per month is actually looking after the infrastructure shortfall for water and sewer. Is that we have a responsibility that those two accounts actually are basically cost recovery. So that amount, the 1930 per month, is actually the amount that it takes to cover off the maintenance of the infrastructure dealing with water and sewer as that shortfall.
But this is this says, replacement flat rate, infrastructure replacement, not maintenance. And I assume that this is a new charge to our residents?
Yes, it is.
So is it in fact, replacement, infrastructure replacement savings plan that we're voting on? I mean, that is what,
I would say if I'm correct, is that in our utility budget, is if we need to replace 3 hydrants, then this money would be used to replace those 3 hydrants. You know, in addition to the other works that it needs to be replacement.
okay, but the hydrants weren't the issue in Calgary. It was lines that were the issue in Calgary, so.
But in general, this is actually, you know, for infrastructure dealing with water and sewer. So it could be the lines at some point in time that we need to replace, or it could be hydrants that we need to replace. But it is items that are directly related to water and sewer.
Can I ask how many houses there are in Gibbons?
If
1,200-ish?
if I'm correct, it's probably, I want to say 1,252. From the last Canadian census,
So,
and that's just off the top of my head.
so for each household, we're gonna charge an extra $19 a month, and it's gonna go into fund that we're not quite sure what it's gonna be used for. What's the accounting for this extra money? Like there has, I mean, we're also charging an infrastructure replacement, flat rate on the next page, 13 of 14, and it is for $3.25 a month.
May I, I didn't read the background and maybe I should have. So number 3, it has in there to meet the requirements of the Municipal Government Act where all municipal utilities must pay for themselves. That is the charge for the utilities, must cover all the expenses to operate the utilities. Administration is proposing that for both the water and sewer utilities, a new charge be implemented called the infrastructure replacement charge. The water system needs some infrastructure upkeep to maintain it in the functional level. These includes divers, 15,000, EnviroTrace of 6,500, hydrant maintenance increase of 12,000 because our present hydrants, though the hose ports and pumper port threads are corroding and could cause projectile when operated. In the past, we have never accounted for in the budget for the replacement of the water meters that is presently taking place, that the cost is $40,000. This means that to cover this, the town needs to levy an infrastructure replacement charge to all users of $19.30 per month. The town has 1,296 users, which will generate $300,154 that will allow for a $155 surplus in the 2025 operating budget. And then B, the sewer system needs some infrastructure upkeep as well. These include the lining of 4 manholes at $25,000, the replacement of manhole covers, frames, and seals for $12,000, plus the addition of salaries for the sewer system. The town needs to levy an infrastructure replacement charge to all users of $3.25 per month. The town has 1,296 users, which will generate $50,544, and that will allow for a $174 surplus in the 2025 operating budget.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Harris.
So, if I'm correct, what I just heard is that we are charging about $23 extra per household, which I'm reading here says it's for an infrastructure replacement flat rate, infrastructure replacement, and yet the money that we're collecting is going to cover the operating costs, like into the operational budget? That's what I just heard.
So the flat rates will be used to cover the cost of the infrastructure upgrades. And then, as noted, it will also supplement some of the salaries for the new, additional salaries of the sewer system.
Oh, I see. Additional salaries, maybe we could have a little clarification of that.
So again, last council meeting, it was discussed that some of the salaries will be reallocated in the Public Works Department. So versus it all going to the operations of just Public Works, some of that salary to that budget now will go to the sewer part of the budget.
Okay, but that's not additional salaries.
Guess it's not an additional salary, it's just the transfer of salaries from one GL that we use to another GL that we use. So, for instance, if that person is normally in just the Public Works salary, some of his wage now will go into a sewer salary.
Right, okay, so just for nice round numbers, let's say you have $1,000 in one GL and it has to be transferred to another GL. Why are we generating more money by charging the residents this way? If it's just a wash, across the,
Deputy Mayor Sandal, members of council, Councillor Harris, I believe what it is that in the utility systems that we have that are supposed to be by the MGA cost recovery, we're basically allocating the actual cost it takes to operate those departments to the utility. And so if that means 12,000 of salary needs to be over there because that's what it takes, then it's being put over there and recovered through utilities. Well, whereas if that 12,000 gets transferred over there from general operating, then it reduces the amount in general operating by 12,000. So there's no increase in the overall amount. It's just being where it's being allocated to. One is to the system versus into general operations.
right, but
So-
these are more charges that we're at, like they're additional charges.
So one thing, they're charged against utility users and versus being charged, in essence, what we can do is take the entire cost of the system, put it into, it just would mean that the tax increase would go higher in that regard, because at some point in time, the taxes will pay for it, or utility charges will pay for it. Or in some places, if people have, renters or tenants, then the tenant may pay that cost versus the landlord or the owner of that house, where the taxes are. So the difference is according to the MGA, we're just trying to make sure that it aligns appropriately with it. So 12,000 in general that gets put over to utilities, it just means one's being more specific and basically cost, more true cost accounting approach.
Okay, but Mr. O'Malley, I'm still not clear.
No, understand.
We are adding charges, which as a result will be passed down to our residents and taxpayers. Meaning that the town will receive more money when these items are paid. There has been an increase, which means the town will receive more money. It's not a wash. It's not across the board. It's extra money for the town.
The salary part will not be extra. It'll just be the extra cost for the maintenance of the system and to upgrade that system. It'll actually means that the cost is now put there versus somewhere else. So if you have a utility cost and it's being billed, let's say for instance, if you're $1,000 over here and we move 500 of that to labor over here where it's due, now those that are using utilities, they pay that portion versus the person over here that doesn't. Because, for instance, the person over here is the ratepayer, whereas the utility user is over there. And not all, in essence, in looking at it, is saying one it means the system is paying for itself more specifically. And whereas the taxation or the shortfall isn't being borne by the general ratepayer. I know it sounds
Well, it does, because the items listed in red.
The difference is the ratepayer at the end of the day could either pay for it all, and, which it would, or else if somebody rents out their building and has a lease, then the tenant generally would have to, they recover it from there. So therefore the tenant is paying that, not the general owner of the building. Go
Okay,
ahead,
So-
just a sec.
Sorry, maybe I didn't read it quite so clear. So there's not an increase to the salary that's going to the residents. It's the increase to the infrastructure upgrades that we need to maintain our water and sewer utilities. So that's why the flat rates being passed on to the residents is for the requires of the Municipal Government Act, that the charges for utilities must cover the expense to operate. So that's what we're, I guess, putting the infrastructure replacement charge onto those monthly utility bills.
okay, so this has to cover the positions that, no, but there's not extra is what I'm understanding you're saying.
Not the positions to maintain our infrastructure
Yep.
on the sewer and water.
Right. That's right. So you're just taking from Public Works
Right, from Robert
account
Peter
here
pay
to
Paul.
go over here.
Right.
Okay. It still doesn't account for the reason why we are charging more.
The difference is that we're actually having, because the system itself right now with our utility rates, we would have to increase the utility rates on a monthly basis to build up that shortfall that it actually takes to maintain it. So instead of that is because one is that utility rates is supposed to recover, and this is actually now we're just taking out, in essence, the water rate that we have to pay the commission versus what it actually costs us to run the rest of the distribution system and the pump system and the cleaning of the treated clear well storage. And if we have to replace hydrants and upgrade hydrants, now this provides that additional money. So one way or another, it's either gets paid as we increase the monthly utility rate by that same amount, or we call it as a utility or as an infrastructure item. Either way, it's gonna have to cost the same amount. It's just how you label it.
Okay, where will the extra money that is collected when this is approved be put? Because there will be, I mean, we're
Yeah,
charging.
it'll go towards the utility account, and so there will be a budget line in that utility account that would identify the amount of money collected under this fee. So that way it'll be documented.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion to move the second reading of bylaw PL 3-24.
We had a motion already, did we not?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I have, we have a motion, is motion made?
I'd like a recorded vote, please.
Okay. Could we have all those in favor of the second reading? Opposed? Thank you. Now we go to third reading.
I'll make the motion for third reading.
Oh. Thank you, Councillor Kozak. Any questions on third reading? If
Recorded,
not,
please.
okay, recorded vote, yes. Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor of third reading? Opposed? Thank you. Next on the agenda is bylaw MOG 1-24, the criminal records check.
Actually, just actually in relation to this is a follow-up, MOG 1-24 criminal record check for election candidates. Is recent changes to Local Authorities Election Act, otherwise known as LAEA, include a provision for election candidates to submit a criminal record check with their nomination papers at the discretion of council. The results of a criminal record check do not disqualify a candidate from running in the election unless the individual is ineligible under Section 2022, or just under Section 22 of the Local Authorities Election Act. However, the criminal record check must be available for examination by anyone who requests it from the commencement of the nomination period until the term of office has expired in the presence of the returning officer, a deputy, or the secretary. And so this was given first reading at the previous meeting, the November 27th meeting. And so at this time, administration is requesting that council give second and third reading to bylaw MOG 1-24 criminal record check bylaw.
Councillor Barry.
I'll move that council give second reading to bylaw MOG 1-24 criminal record check bylaw.
Any questions? Councillor Harris.
Out of curiosity, why did this come up in the first place?
If I'm correct,
This isn't mandatory, right?
No, Councillor Harris, it's not, but with the changes to the Local Authorities Elections Act, it is council's decision whether or not to put it forward. So the previous council meeting, it was put forward as an option for council. Council decided to go ahead with first reading.
Okay. But if it's not mandatory, like, who brought it up? I'm just,
Administration brought it forward as an option for council. As it was made, a change was made in the Local Authorities Elections Act. There was no other reason other than the change was made and it's council's decision whether or not they want to go forward with the bylaw.
okay.
Seeing no further questions,
I'd like a recorded.
No
vote,
motion
please.
on the floor yet. Nobody has made a motion.
actually, Councillor Barry has made that motion.
Councillor Barry made the motion for first reading, or
Thank you,
pardon
my
me,
mistake.
second reading.
Second.
I'd like a recorded vote, please.
Recorded vote. Okay, all those in favor of the second reading? Opposed? Motion is carried. Next, I'd like to have a motion for third reading of the MOG 1-24. Councillor Masenti, I keep mispronouncing it, sorry.
Councillor Miliante.
Miliante, I'll get it right yet.
All good. I'd like to put in third reading to bylaw MOG 1-24 criminal code, criminal record check bylaw for the motion to go forward.
Thank you. Any questions?
Recorded, please.
Okay, seeing no further questions, we'll call the vote on third reading of MOG 1-24. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Next, we'll go to administration reports.
Stephanie, if you'd like to start off, please.
Deputy Mayor, members of council, we have a few job postings listed in community services right now. So we are looking for part of sturgeon adult learning, a coordinator or facilitator. There's 2 positions available for that. And we're also looking for casual facility attendance at this time. For more information, it can be found on our website. Our food bank Christmas hamper pickup is December 14th. Last I checked, we had over 132 hamper requests this year. So every year we are getting larger and larger numbers for that. Our Gibbons Seniors bus has had a schedule change. I have it attached to this package if you're interested in looking at that. They're now going to the new grocer in town, which is wonderful. And our youth center had over 275 kids attend in November, and that is just continuing to grow as well. So that's exciting news too. Thank you.
Good morning, Deputy Mayor, members and council. In corporate services, we are working on the 2025 interim operating and capital budgets, tax enforcement, and cash flow management.
Louise.
Deputy Mayor, members of council, this is my final council meeting. So the business breakfast had a fairly good turnout, not as many as were expected, but it was still good. And also attached is a report on the permits issued in 2024, and we did pretty good this year.
Thanks, Louise. Eric.
Deputy Mayor Sandell, members of council, I'm sitting in for Curtis too because he's out doing snow removal because they're short-staffed. There's a couple people on vacation, and so Public Works, water meter change outs are appointments are being made and it's being done when the snow leaves. So they're busy. For fire, the town calls are 147 town and 187 county. That went up for the numbers on there. Food bank results were phenomenal this year. 10,615 pounds of food and 12,000 in monetary donations. It was, normally we get about 1,000 to 1,200, and all of a sudden somebody decided to throw 10 grand in the pot, well, bonus for us. So, phenomenal turnout, and kudos to the town.
I do want to ask, because I'm not sure if the person or the organization wants to be anonymous, but would you know who gave that large sum of donation?
I have an idea, Councilor Milante, but I can't say for sure.
It was anonymous.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Santa's here. That's good to see. Thank you.
And under projects, the grocery store opened, and it was a big success. I've heard only one complaint, that chicken breasts were too expensive, but don't buy them. And everything else I heard was great. So people love it. It's there. You get snowstorms like this, they just have to drive down the road, get their groceries, and drive back. So really good asset to the town.
Yes, go ahead.
I believe the owner is Mike, and he approached me when I visited during their opening and said that he needs employees, so I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Thanks. One of the key things I'd just like to add to this is that I've had quite a number of other conversations. I can't name the companies, but we've been garnering lots of attention from some large-scale projects that are being discussed around the province, and that Gibbons is being, seen as a very strategic location for a lot of other utilities, such as hydrogen, as well in some of those other type of large-scale developments. And so as those type come forward, we're able to bring them in to actually meet with council, we'll do so. Right now, we've had lots of other discussion with other developers that are looking to enhance the south end as well with some very much-needed development. And so we'll, as administration has more to report, it will do so, but everything is looking very strong in that regard with that.
Thank you. Could I have a motion for information, please? Thank you. Make the motion. I'm gonna learn it one of these days.
Jay is fine too.
All right, Jay, go ahead.
Put forward the motion to put it as information.
All in favor?
No, may I just have a quick question, if I may? Motion is made, I can ask questions.
Yes.
Just of the CAO, really quick, going back, prior to in the meeting, there was an indication that there was supposed to be a living wage report attached to this. Is it possible that we get that emailed to us or whatnot?
I certainly will.
Thank you.
Please get that as a motion.
Well, actually, if I may use the correct, we did have it identified within that report that was on the agenda, so we just want to make sure that that report was complete. So administration will make sure that's there.
Okay.
So we have a motion on the floor for information of the administration reports. All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Right now, I would like to acknowledge that this is Louise's last day here, and the congratulations to her for her service to the community, the town, as a member of staff and elected official has been impressive over the years, and thank you so much. Do you want a standing ovation? Thank you again. Okay, we'll start with committee reports. We'll start with Willis. Thank you.
November 27th, the Edmonton Global Virtual Meeting, and December 3rd, Aero Utilities Zoom meeting. That is it.
As per my sanctions, I have nothing to report.
Councilor Justician.
On November November 28th, I attended the AB Muni's webinar for outstanding resolutions that weren't addressed during the yearly gathering. November 30th, I attended the Mornville Light Parade and Mixer, and considering the temperature that it was outside, they had a really good turnout out there. And then on December 6th, I attended the Mayor's Breakfast as well as volunteering at the Youth Center for the evening.
Yes. Jay?
On December 1st, attended the annual food drive that we do with the Gibbons Fire Department for the Bonacourt and Gibbons Food Bank. And it was a worthy event, and I'm hoping maybe next year, just calling on the counselors, if you're still there, or if we have new counselors, to participate as much as they can, where they can. Thank you.
On November the 28th, I attended the Homeland Housing Board meeting. November the 29th, I took part in the Northern Lights, NLL, Northern Lights Library System Board meeting. And on December 3rd, I sat in on the Sturgeon School Division engagement session that they had at Gibbons School. I think it was meant primarily for parents of children. I became very aware of that after I was already there. I think their purpose was to engage the parents in providing input in what they would like to see in the new school as it is developed. So it was interesting. That's it for me.
Thank you. December 6th, I attended the business breakfast here at Coach's Corner with the rest of council. In that later that morning, I went to Landing Trail School to serve pancake lunch to the kids in the school. The CAO helped me, that we were hoping to get more people from the council, but it was just the two of us. And it was quite an event, and there was kids coming back 2 and 3 times for pancakes. So they got pancakes and syrup, and I can imagine what it was like that afternoon for the teachers with all that sugar. It must have been just an incredible challenge. Thank you. Could I have a motion to accept this information, please?
I'll make the motion.
Yes, thank you. All those in favor? Carried, thank you. So we have no correspondence. Any notice of emotions? Seeing none, we'll go to closed session. Well, take a 10-minute break. 10-minute recess, and then we'll go to closed session. Anyway.
Okay.
Okay, I'll call the meeting back to order, and
I'll make the motion to move into closed session.
thank you. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. I will recluse myself and turn the chair
Okay, can I get a motion to come out of closed session?
I'll make the motion to come out of closed session.
All in favor? All right. Can I get a motion for what was discussed?
Is that council, a motion to, that council proceed with Councillor Yushishin complete an investigation and to move forward with that.
Can we repeat that, please? What exactly is the motion?
The motion that council proceed with investigating
Proceed with an investigation conducted by Councilor Eustitian.
there we go. Thank you.
Can I get someone to make that motion?
I can make that motion. I'll move that Councillor Dale Yushishin be appointed to conduct the investigation as discussed in closed session.
Questions? All right, all in favor?
A recorded vote.
All in favor? Opposed?
Councillor Yushishin, or sorry, Councillor Santos, since the item involved you and you recused yourself from the meeting, you don't get to vote.
All right, with that, I guess we are adjourned.